So today I'm going to read to you Alexander, who's not, do you hear me? I mean it, going to move. You see these two lines here. These are parentheses, so they're kind of like in between and giving you a little bit more information kind of on the side is what that kind of means. And we have a question mark in this particular title, and we also have an exclamation point. So we would read that, Alexander, comma, we'd pause. Alexander, who's not, do you hear me? I mean it, going to move. So it's giving the reader a little bit more information on the side. So while we read this book, we're going to think about, good readers think about what happens in a book that they've read before related to this book, or what happens in this book related to things they've learned on their own and their self-experience, so that's book to self, and then what happens in the world related to what I'm reading, and does that help me with my story? And that's what good readers do. They relate text to text, text to self, and text to world. They can't make me pack my baseball mitt or my I Love Dinosaurs sweatshirt or my cowboy boots. They can't make me pack my ice skates, my jeans with 8 zippers, my compass, my radio, or my stuffed pig. My dad is packing. My mom is packing. My brothers Nick and Anthony are packing. I'm not packing. I am not going to move. Ooh, and I know that it's read angrily because look at his face that I studied before I read the book. Remember to look at those pictures before you read it. It helps you with what's going on in the story. My dad says we have to move to where his new job is. That job is 1,000 miles away. My mom says we have to move to where our new house is. That house is 1,000 miles away. Right next door to the new house, there's a boy who is Anthony's age. Down the street, there's a boy the same age as Nick. There's no one next door or down the street or maybe for 1,000 miles who's my age. I know I've moved before, and it's hard to make new friends, so I can relate this text to my own self and knowing that it's scary sometimes moving, and I bet that that's the way the character is feeling in this book. I'm not, do you hear me? I mean it, going to move. And I say it really loud because that's that big print that's telling me that he is really angry, on top of the picture that tells me that he's angry too. I'll never have a best friend like Paul again. I'll never have a great sister like Rachel again. I'll never have my soccer team or my carpool again. I'll never have kids who know me except my brothers, and sometimes they don't want to know me. I'm not packing. I'm not going to move. Oh, I feel very sad in this book so far because I do know how he feels, and he's worried about all the things that he's not going to have when he moves to his new house. Relating text to self again. Nick says I'm a fool and should get my brain transplant. Anthony says I'm being immature. My mom and my dad say that after a while I'll get used to living 1,000 miles from everything. Never, not ever, no way, no N-O. His brothers don't look very nice to him right now, and he's really struggling, right? And I know that text to self. I know that my brother and my sister sometimes weren't always nice to me, but that's part of being a brother or a sister, and we love each other, and I'm sure that his brothers love him, but right now he's feeling very sad. I maybe could stay here and live with the Baldwins. They've got a dog. I always wanted a dog. Yeah, I think he's imagining that in his head, maybe. I'm study that picture again because it helps me with my text. It also helps me get a clue about what the author's going to tell me. I maybe could stay here and live with the Rooneys. They've got 6 girls. They always wanted 1 boy. Again, I think he's imagining what it would be like living with the Rooneys. I know I've imagined before when I was growing up what it would be like to live with someone else when I got angry or upset. So again, I'm relating text, this book, to myself. And it helps me relate how the character's feeling. I maybe could stay here and live with Mr. and Mrs. Oberdofer. They always give treats on Halloween. And look at his parents in the window. And he's going to pull down the shade, I think, so he blocks them out. Have you ever done that before, pull down the shade when you're being kind of silly? That's what I think is going on here, and I know that because I've done that before, being silly. So I'm relating, again, text to myself. I maybe could stay here and live by myself in maybe a treehouse or maybe a tent or maybe a cave. It says Alexander's house. Keep our... especially Anthony and Nick. Keep out, especially Anthony and Nick. And again, I think he's imagining, and his mother's crying, and they can't find him, and they're looking through binoculars. Have you ever looked through binoculars before? It helps you search for things. And so again, I'm relating what I've done myself, text to self, to this book. Nick says I could live in a zoo with all the other animals. Anthony says I'm being immature. My dad says I should take a last look at all my special places. I'm taking a look, but it won't be my last. And I know as a parent, as a mom, it's really hard to see my children struggle. I'm sure his father's very sad for him too, and he's trying to make him feel better. So again, I'm relating the book, text to self, to myself. And that's what good readers do. It helps us make sense of what's going on in a book and remember what's going on in the book too. I looked at the Rooney's roof, which I once climbed out on, but then I couldn't climb back in until the fire department came and helped me. I looked at the Pearsons drugstore, where they once said my mom had to pay them $80 when I threw a ball in the air and I almost caught. The picture tells me that he missed, and his look on his face, and his mother, and I bet she had to pay for fixing that window. Have you ever broken a window before playing ball or broken something and your mom or dad have had to pay? If you had, you can relate to how Alexander feels. You're doing text to self. Or maybe you've seen a movie or read another book that's happened to. So you can relate text to text, book to book, or maybe even text to world, where you've seen it happen out in the real world. Your life experiences. I looked at the lot next to Albert's house, where I once and for all learned to tell which was poison ivy. I looked at my school, where even Miss Newt, the teacher I once spilled the goldfish bowl on, said she'd miss me. He's saying all his goodbyes. It's still sad. It's funny how books can make you feel happy or excited, scared, or even sad. I looked at my special places where a lot of different things happened. Not just different bad, but different good. Like winning that sack race. Like finding that flashlight. Like spitting farther than Jack 3 times in a row. It makes me sad because I know how it feels to move. And I've seen other movies or other books or seen other kids move. And so I can relate all those things to this book, which is giving me the feeling that I have about this book. But I also can predict what might happen in the end to Alexander. I think it might not be so bad after all. But that's because I've read books like this and I've experienced moving myself, and I know other kids who it's turned out okay. I like selling so much lemonade that my dad said I would probably have to pay taxes. My dad was just making jokes about paying taxes. I wish he was just making jokes about having to move. I'm not. Do you hear me? I mean it. Going to move. Nick says I'm acting like a puke face. Anthony says I'm being immature. My mom says my mom says to say last goodbye to all my special people. I'm saying goodbye, but it won't be my last. He's still sticking in there, not wanting to say goodbye, even though his parents and his brothers know that they're probably going to move anyway. I said goodbye to my friends, especially Paul, who is almost like having another brother, except he doesn't say puke face or immature. I bet if you have brothers or sisters, you said things about them or they've said them about you. So I can again relate the book to my own self, text to self. I've also read other books where that's happened too, right? So I can relate text to text, book to book. I say goodbye to my neighbors, especially Susie, who is almost like having a dog, except she's the Baldwin's dog instead of mine. I say goodbye to Rachel, who taught me to stand on my head and whistle with 2 fingers, but she says don't try to do both at the same time. I said goodbye to Seymour the cleaners, who even if it's gum wrappers or an old tooth, always saves me the stuff I leave in my pockets. I said a lot of goodbyes to a lot of people and got a lot of hugs and kisses, enough hugs and kisses to last for a person's whole life. I said a lot of goodbyes, except I'm staying right here. I'm not going to move. And I knew that word was kisses because I had seen the kisses on his face, and I could figure that out. And he's not happy about it. When the movers come to put my bedroom furniture on their truck, maybe I'll barricade my bedroom door. I'll block my bedroom door is what barricade means. Maybe I'll barricade my bedroom door. When my dad wants to tie my bicycle on the roof rack on top of the station wagon, maybe I'll lock up my bike and bury the key. When my mom says, finish packing up, it's time for us to get going, maybe she'll look around and she won't see me. I know places to hide where they'd never find me. Oh, he looks like he's getting kind of sneaky now. It's coming down to the end of when they're getting ready to move. Like behind the racks of clothes at Seymour the cleaners. Like underneath the piano at Eddie's basement. Like inside the pickle barrel at Friendly's Market. Or maybe I could hide in the weeds in the lot next to Albert's house. Now that I know how to tell which is poison ivy. I'd rather have poison ivy than to move. Oh, and if you've ever had poison ivy, you know that it's got to be pretty bad because poison ivy is not fun. Again, relating the book to myself, text to self. My dad says it might take a while, but I'll find a new soccer team. He says it might take a while, but I'll find boys my age. He also says that sometimes when a person moves away, his father might need to let him get a dog to be a friend till he makes some people friends. I think that Swoozie, too, would be a good name. Oh my goodness, he got a dog. I think his dad and mom are trying to make him feel better about moving. I wonder if you've ever gotten a dog or a cat or an animal when you've been sad. So again, relating this book to myself. My mom says it might take a while, but we'll find a great sitter. She says it might take a while, but we'll find a cleaners who even saves gum wrappers and old teeth. She also says that sometimes when a person moves away, his mother might let him call his best friend long distance. I already know the telephone number by heart. Paul gave me a baseball cap. Rachel gave me a backpack that glows in the dark. Mr. and Mrs. Obendofer gave us treats to eat for 1,000 miles. Nick says if I'm lonesome in my new room all by myself, he might let me sleep with him for a little while. Anthony says that Nick is being mature. Now his brothers all of a sudden understand how sad he is. And I bet your brothers and sisters can be nice to you sometimes too, right? So is he leaving? He is. I kind of predicted that. Good readers predict endings. I've seen other books that have ended like this, or I've experienced things myself, and we had to move. So text to text, or text to self, still holding true. It's helping me understand the story and understand the feelings in the story and understand and predict what might happen next. My dad is packing. My mom is packing. My brothers Nick and Anthony are packing. I don't like it, but I'm packing too. They better not try to move any more when we get where we're going to go. I think he's changing his mind, right? Because this is the last time I'll do it. The next time they won't make me do it. Never, not ever, no way, N-O. I'm not, do you hear me? I mean it, going to move. And it says, Alexander's new room. So did he end up moving? Yes, he did. He had kind of predicted that, right?